Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the ARS BTCC 2025 Championship. My name is Olaf, aka Ops Racing, and I'll be joined tonight by Tom O'Farrell. Tom, welcome back.
Good evening. Thank you very much for having us back. It's been a long time. Looking forward to this.
Yeah, it's been a few weeks since you've been here. We've had quite a few changes actually since the since round one. You've been here for round one, of course, and that was at Snetterton. We were there. It was big chaos towards race number 3. But two races in between, Alton Park, also chaos, Knock Hill, also chaos. So the one thing to expect here tonight is also chaos as we're heading on to Donington Park. But before we head on to Donington Park, we should have just a little bit of a recap of where we're at right now, and we could do that perfectly well with the standings. Currently, Josh Nesbitt leading the championship, 72 points to his name, but close behind Sebastian Riquelme. Only 24 points behind. Plenty of points to grab today as well. 3 races on the board, and that's a lot of points for Riquelme possibly to take the championship lead. Then there's a big gap down to third place to Ollie Hutton with 81 points, but everyone all the way down to, I think, 20, almost 20th place. I think 16th, yeah, to Bucorn is all capable of getting into that third place spot still for the last 3 races as we're halfway into that season. So it's all a lot to play for. Small gaps in the top 10 and small gaps outside of the top 10 as well. Of course, we have some special regulations for this series. So if you're new here, or if you've missed it from the past few races, let us walk you right through it. We have the hybrid energy management system. Every driver has the allocation. Every driver has a little bit of energy they can use as a boost. With a few laps per race. Currently, we have, I believe, 1 lap for position number 1, 2 laps for position number 2, and so forth. The race 1 allocation will be based on the championship standings. Race 2 allocation based off of the results from race number 1, and for race number 3, we have once again based on the championship standings, but after the results of race 1 and 2 have been applied, with up to a maximum of 15 seconds per lap. Point system all in place. First down to 15th, getting a point. You get 1 for fastest lap in qualifying, 1 for the fastest lap in each of the races. That is 3 points available for the fastest lap in the races. 1 point also granted for leading 1 full lap from flag to flag, from line to line. It's only 1 point per race. If you lead 2 laps, you still get 1 of those points. And each event also utilizes 2 of the 3 tire compounds, hard, mediums, and the softs. Today at Donington Park, we have the mediums and the hard, so the softs will not be used. And you have to use 2 compounds, both compounds, in these 3 races combined. It's not counted if you pit during a race. So if you switch in race 1 from the mediums to the hards, that does not count. You have to start the next race on the hards or the third one. And failure to do so will result in a disqualification. If you finish in the podium on race number 1, you have to start race 2 on the harder compound, being the hards in this case. So every driver will probably start on the softs if they think they have a shot at that podium in race number 1, then that hard compound for race number 2, and hopefully some of these drivers will get it out of the way in race number 1. So that is going to be an interesting one. Drivers currently on track for qualifying. The first lap has been set. Our bar has been dropped by Josh Nesbitt, our championship leader. That's a 132.1. That's not in the range where we saw the times in practice just a few moments ago before we headed on to qualifying. I saw lap times into the 130.7, so they have some work to do. And Tom, where do you think the work is?
Well, there's 2 very tricky hairpins around Donington Park, but all the rest of it seems to be relatively flat out. I mean, you just see here, coming down the bottom of the hill, I believe this is Ben Nesbitt in the Ford. That's the old hairpin. That's a very tricky location, especially with the track limits. And something that I have just quickly looked at while you're doing the intro there is track limits on those first few laps. And I'm seeing quite a fair few of them actually pinging for track limits already in this qualifying session.
Yeah, that just means that all the drivers are currently pushing as hard as they possibly can to get those lap times on the boards. And like you said, track limits is going to be a very interesting thing in this race. It's going to be interesting here as well in the chicane as we are approaching it. You see the first turn out of the chicane on the right-hand side. You see a little bit of green on the bottom right corner of the window. There it is. There's the runoff area. And sometimes if you go a little bit too far onto one of the hairpins, you get the one of the corners, you get the second corner, all the way wrong. And that just means that you send it over the lines a little bit too hard. You're allowed to have two wheels over, but anything of the third wheel on or over the line will result in that track limit ping. If you get too many of them, you'll get handed a drive-through penalty. So we're looking at now, currently, Riquelme taking away that place by just over half a tenth. And that is a 32.078. Riquelme currently second in the standings. Will want that pole position. Of course, one of the things we haven't mentioned just yet is the grid for race number 1, the grid for race number 2, and of course the grid for race number 3. They're all based off of different things. Race number 1, of course, we have from the qualifying. Race number 2 has its grid set by the race results from race number 1, and then race number 3 will have a reverse grid draw. There will be a live draw on screen where we have a few numbers to select from that we will spin and land on a number, and the positions from P1 down to that number will be reversed. So if your number is drawn, you will have pole position. So let's say you finish in P number 10. That means that if number 10 is drawn after race number 2, the top 10 will be reversed, and P10 finishing will have a pole position for race number 3. So that's going to be an interesting one as well. So lots of drivers, of course, dancing around those positions. Can't really take the advantage of staying in P10 if it was a solid top 10 reverse grid. You can't just stick around in P10 and think, right, I've got pole, I don't want to grab P9, I want this pole position. I'm going to just stick here and be fine with it. No, they can't do that because it's all speculative. You can't be you can be anywhere from, I believe, 6th all the way to 12th, and that will all have a chance to be reversed. So everyone's got their shot, everyone's got their chance, and Josh Nesbitt is giving his chance now. 131.5, just 8/10 off of his practice lap time, and I believe he did over 100 laps practicing for this event, and that's going to be an interesting one. One thing to note though is from the standings, we had Cornelius in 7th place. Cornelius has jumped out of the championship, so Josh Cornelius in 7th will not gain any more points as he'll be driving the safety car in these races. We had a small incident last week out at Knockhill, and we now have a safety car driver to take away that car and drive it whenever needed. And hopefully it won't be needed here at Donington Park. It's one quite wide, not really a place where you really can go over the track limits, not really a place where you absolutely have to jump towards the apex. The outside line works quite often as well.
Just watching Ben Meskel there. Oh, has he got track limits again there? He was slightly slower in his first sector the previous lap. Then I noticed he went purple in sector 2, and then he unfortunately invalidated his third sector. I'm just waiting for this sector to come through, and it is invalid in the second sector. So he's currently, what's that, down in 15th with no valid lap time. So he just needs a clean lap time because he's really pushing sideways through that chicane, which is fantastic to see. But he does need a clean lap time, and he's done 5 laps. So you would expect him to get a lap time in relatively early, as we've only got 8 minutes left of this session.
Yeah, Mascal, the driver, being currently in 6th place. Only, I believe that's 11 points, 12, that's 15 points away from Ollie Hutton in 3rd place. So that is the amount of points that you can get, even if you finish in 3rd. So Ollie is 1 DNF away from losing his 3rd place, all the way dropping down to 6th. So Pascal probably trying to get the best possible lap out of the way, and then doing so, just pushing a little bit too much. He's back in the pits now, no doubt putting on a clean set of tires as he's currently just out of the pit lane and trying to set that new lap. Looking at Callum Williams now, set in 9th place as it stands. He's got a 33.4 to his name, and like we saw in race number 1, it's a lot of rear locking, and it's still a lot of rear locking for these cars. You don't really see the front lock up as much as Thibaut Gerting jumps up to 4th place, and there it is once again. Those rears really liking to slide.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether it's more to do with the fact that it's just a very stiff chassis on all these cars, and it's just the unloaded wheel, as you see there. You're not on the brakes at that point where it's just turned in. It's that unloaded inside rear tyre that's just slightly catching sideways on the circuit, which is giving us a little bit of smoke effect. It's brilliant to see in the game, but I'm not 100% sure it's locking as such. It's more. Or just an unloaded car, as that was a very unloaded car that decided to go off in the background there. I don't think that was the Hyundai of someone spearing off.
Yeah, we've got a few Hyundais on the track. One of them is Madhouse. Currently sat in 12th, going back to the pits. Was going to cover that, but we're back with Ben Mascal, as he is going to be on his way to start a lap, and this is a wide entry into the final turn, all the way towards the edge, taking all the speed that he can, all the little bit of benefit that he can get starting this lap. The line from the length from the line towards turn number 1 braking zone is quite large, as he goes a little bit wide into turn 1. Doesn't go wide on the exit, fortunately enough, so he stays within the track limits. Going down the S's onto the old hairpin, the part where you said, Tom, we had some track limit problems on the exit. See if he can keep it within the white lines for now. He can. Oh, that was very, very close. Unsure if that was going to count, but we'll have to see in the live timing if that is inside. It's not his best first sector.
That was fine. That was within track limits, because you're allowed to put 2 wheels off. Put any more than the 2 wheels off, I believe, then it's a track limits infringement. And as you say, it was a 27-second first sector, which is just at the exit of the line's just at the exit of that corner that we saw, and he's just done a 24.9 in the second sector. So it's not his best, but it's a clean lap time as he gets close on the entry and exit there to the chicane. So we come up to the actual hairpins here.
He only needs a 1 lap on the board to be at least a few positions higher up, I'd imagine. Being this high up in the championship, you should be able to put in the qualifying laps that will give you at least a top 10 start. So maybe Mescal's taking it a little bit easier now and trying to just get a lap on the board and finding his way towards, that's a top 3. That's not even a problem for him. A bad lap and still reaching that 3rd place, 3.5 tenths behind provisional pole.
Yeah, it's not a bad banker lap, is it? He did his personal best in Sector 3 as well. One person to watch is Josh Nesbitt, who's just slightly slower. He was quicker in the first sector and slower in the second and third. Another person to watch actually is Ollie Hutton, who actually is unfortunately invalidated in his second sector in that, but he did a personal best in the first. So there's clearly time still to come, as we've got 4 minutes left of this session.
Yeah, 4 minutes is about 3 laps that the drivers can still do. So it's still very much possible for them to get these laps in. There's a little bit of weaving there from Ollie, trying to set himself up well for a new lap. This is the final turn. They take that absolutely as wide as they possibly can to gain the maximum amount of speed. That's where the timing line starts. And this is all the advantage that you get, gaining that speed out of the final turn all the way up to the braking zone. You can see Ollie does grab that apex on the inside, keeps it within the lines, nice and tidy. Onto the S's downhill. Currently sat in P10, wants to defend his 3rd place in the championship. Maybe even climb a little bit further up to the BMWs. And like we saw in the previous races as well, the BMWs like grouping up. This is probably why Mascal got his 3rd place qualifying lap for now. And that is just a little bit of a buff from the BMWs, having to always be near another BMW. We see Nesbitt and Riquelme currently 1st and 2nd. So Mascal had to join that. Also quite strong. We've seen this in the previous races as well. BMWs usually quite fast around the tracks.
Josh Nesbitt has just gone quicker again. It's a 1:31.455 purple sector 3, personal best sector 2, as we see Ollie Hutton go through this chicane here. He's still up on his time as well there. So that's a new pole sitting time there from Josh Nesbitt.
And Ollie's dancing around his delta. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to improve on this lap. It's going to have to be a very good 3rd sector, and he's basically hovering around the same lap time that he's done before, a 33.3. It's almost 2 seconds away from pole position. Remember, this is a little bit of a longer track than we had last week out at Knockhill. Knockhill being significantly shorter. That's a 33.04 for Ollie. Puts up to 8th place. Riquelme is now trying to take away pole position from Nesbit. Josh being first place, that 131.4. And Riquelme 3.5 tenths behind is looking for something, but first sector already invalidated. That's 2.5 tenths slower as well, so he's going to have to back out of the lap. Only one more to go.
We've got Ben Nesbitt as well. He's just done the first two sectors as green sectors. So he's just coming through the last corner now. Is he going to improve? And he's the first of the front-wheel drive class, as we'll call it. So he's just back across the line. And no, it's not an improvement. Only just not an improvement by just under a tenth. Not an improvement. But the other person to watch, yeah, as you say, I'm watching here, Riquelme.
Currently second place, slower sector 1, and also invalid as well.
Yes.
Like I said, Ben Nesbit quicker on sector 1, quicker on sector 2, but just slower on sector 3. And I believe that's a lot slower actually from the looks of it. If we have him, I think it was a 10-second slowdown. That's not true. I'm lying out of my mouth. I thought it was a 29 for sector 3, but it's a 39-second for sector 3, around 29 seconds for sector 2. Ben Nesbit has got a green sector for sector 1, as Pascal grabs what I can see, purple for sector 1.
Yeah, so that time difference on the screen there, the time is compared to the current pole position time, which I believe is about to improve again because Josh Nesbitt has gone green in sector 1 and sector 2. Riquelme has also gone green in sector 1 as well, so that's something to watch.
It's a bit deep from Ben. I believe that is going to be his lap over. Ben Nesbit, 2 green sectors, just a tiny bit off. It's looking to be 2 tenths away from a pole position. Currently 8 tenths behind. That's quite a slower final corner. I don't believe he's improved.
Yeah, just off.
Oh, that's a 100th away.
Yeah.
9 thousandths of a second away from his best. And that's all in that sector 3. He's had that issue. He can't start this lap still. Maybe he's just lined it up properly. No, he hasn't. He's off. That's qualifying over.
Sector 3's Josh Nesbitt on that previous lap. I said he had a green sector 1, green sector 2, purple sector 3, and that is again a new pole position time of a 1:31.252, which is a really quick lap. That's half a second quicker than the nearest rival, Riquelme.
That's the top 6 all across the line. That means that Noah Batts, Callum Williams, the only drivers available to maybe challenge for anything in that top 5, but from the looks of it, pole position has been secured by Josh Nesbitt. And that's a dominant lap if I've ever seen one. 1:31.252, like I said, over half a second away from the nearest rival, Sebastian Riquelme. And this is also for the championship quite important that Nesbitt starts ahead of Riquelme. Now it's just the question, on which tire do you start? Are you going to pick the hards because you're expecting to finish outside of the top 4 if you're a driver like Thibaut Bergen, like Ben Nesbitt, Noah Batts, Sewald, as drivers are dropping down in the order. That's not these are not their positions. I saw Ben Mescal drop down. I thought his lap time got deleted for something, but should have automated systems for that. So I don't believe that is dropped down to 15. That's just a little bit of a glitch in the visuals. It is a BMW 1-2-3 start with Nesbitt in first, Riquelme in second, and Ben Mescal in third place for race number 1.
Yeah, I believe drivers are just disconnecting from the server, which is why they're disappearing to the bottom of that list there on your screen. As we obviously the drivers need to disconnect from the qualifying session before they can reconnect for the races, which are about to come up once the grids have all been finalised.
And it all has to do with the intricacy of the setup that we have, and it's all the organizers working in the background. Our race director, lovely race director Peter Cornelius, giving you the pictures from the track, and he's also working very hard in the background to give you the best pictures during the broadcast, but also to set up all the hybrid energy management system in the background, making sure that everyone gets the right amount of boost. So then that means that Josh Nesbitt will only get a little bit of boost but everyone behind him will more and more boost, and it's going to be very important, I think, for the fight as well. As Josh Nesbitt currently in first, a little bit of boost. Sebastian Riquelme starting second place will have a bit more boost. So that means that there should be a fight coming somewhere if Riquelme doesn't already pass Nesbitt into turn one. But half a second on a qualifying lap, that is insane. Tom, what do we think for the race? What are the predictions for race number one?
Well, I think it's quite easy who you'd, based on those qualifying times, who you'd pick to win the race. But it's motorsport; anything can happen. It is a bit strange to see the three BMWs up the front all together, and then, as I say, you got the front-wheel drive class that's a little bit further back. Just my screen's just gone off there. Yeah, so it's you kind of have to see Josh Nesbitt there for the race win, and the BMW's Netterton. And I was last here watching, getting off the line. He disappeared backwards very quickly.
Yeah, the drivers have improved on their standing starts. It has been, of course, difficult in the first two races with Snellerton and then Alton Park. Of course, the drivers a lot of difficulty getting off the line, having some stalls, having some problems getting the cars going. But they have improved a significant amount actually by getting this all done. And we'll have a race start in about 2 minutes time. So we have 2 minutes. I'll have 2 minutes to lock in my predictions at least. But like you said, it's quite obvious. Josh Nesbitt and a dominant qualifying lap, but the qualifying lap isn't always everything. I remember myself being very horrible at qualifying, but then during the race, just jumping up places. And I believe that can happen still to basically anyone. As Ollie third in the standings, eighth on the grid. From the looks of it, I don't think that's not eighth on the grid. He was around eighth on the grid, I believe.
He's ninth. He's ninth on the grid.
Ninth on the grid.
From my
Yeah, so they were 10th. Yeah, that is ninth. Apologies. Yeah, that's just the race director being in first. So everyone's shoved up a place. That's Ollie in ninth place for the start. And with the consistency in the points scoring that he's done, I mean, I believe he's got fourth in one of the races at Snellerton where you were at, and he's shown some good consistency. So he might be able to jump up as well. Like the Cupra, it's not a slow car. And like you said, it's interesting to see all the BMWs grouping up way at the front of the grid. And yeah, just a very dominant start from Josh Nesbitt. I believe he might be able to take it to the victory, but only if Riquelme and Maskel do their job and stay behind. But I don't think they want to do that particular job. I think they all want to get past. So the grid for today: Nesbitt out in first, Riquelme second, Maskel just disappearing in the bottom left there. Then right behind them we have the first Ford of Ben Nesbitt. Thibaut Geurten on the left-hand side as well. That's the right-hand side of the track. Sebastian Sebald, Noah Batz, Callum Williams, Ollie Hutton, Paris Young, Raid, Madhouse, Porter in 15th, and Becorn as the final car on the grid, the Honda on the left-hand side of the screen in 15th place. 15 cars for the grid. We've had a few sign-outs on the last minute, and also a few days before they have a little bit less cars on the grid than we would like, but still a very good opportunity for these drivers to do something at the very least. The number 99 car here looking to get some stuff done. So that's just Nesbitt, and we are a go at the race as George Nesbitt holds onto the inside line. As Riquelme trying to look around the outside. Maskel doesn't have the line just yet. Riquelme is looking to try at least something, and I believe that's the car very slow off the line, and that is Thibaut Geurten on through. That is Maskel dropping back. The number 2 BMW now in 6th place. Ollie Hutton, like I said, is just up to 7th place. Has started on the hards, has taken that compound to his name, and it's George Nesbitt still leading Riquelme into the hairpin. There's a few cars off, and that is Callum Williams and Paris. Paris is also off. It's Callum Paris, the 2 Callums.
Yeah, there was quite a lot of collision side-by-side contact at the first corner, and then I noticed at that old hairpin there. Oh, you got the safety car. That was a horrible noise. At the bottom of the old hairpin there, I believe it was Callum Williams that went slightly wide in the Toyota, and I believe it just unsighted the others, obviously trying to avoid. So he came into a little bit of contact, and they all speared off. Just waiting for the server to issue us with a replay, which I believe yeah, so I can tell you exactly what's happened.
And Noah Bad's just going off the track there. He's currently stationary on the backside of the track. I'm not sure what happened there. It was under the safety car. He might have been just leaving to get his tires up to temps, or at least keep them up to temps. But of course, it was a very, very big crash at the start. I didn't see too much happening in turn number 1. It was quite clean from the front guys. Pascal dropping back a few places. Thibaut Geurten up to 3rd place. That's quite good. Ben Nesbitt still where he started, only up to 7th as well. Callum Williams got away with it quite well. Here at the safety car, catching the grid with Josh Nesbitt leading the race. So the 2 BMWs still 1st and 2nd. And Raquelme is going to have a 2nd try to gain that place, but it's all up to Nesbitt this time to see when you can start. Of course, start of the race, it's all on to the lights, and now for the safety car restart, it will be Josh Nesbitt to take away the pace. And it does look like Vance is in the pits, I believe. So he will have a stop going for the damage to be repaired. Raid is currently in 12th, is also fitted the hard tire, and I believe that is alongside Bats the only 2 drivers. Oh no, it's Ollie Hutton as well with the hard compound. They've taken that one out of the way, and they can run the mediums for race number 2 and race number 3. It's all up to the top 3 to see which one of those are going to be running that hard compound in race number 2. The safety car running up to the back side of the track. We have Paris and Bats catching up. So luckily Bats still driving. And I believe that we do have Callum Paris. Yeah, he is still going as well. So no one's out from what I believe. There have been a few contacts here under the safety car. Yeah. It's Nesbitt and Ben Nesbitt and Maskell just having a few touches under the safety car. So we'll have one more lap, and then we can go back to the racing.
So the 2 at the rear of the field there were heavily involved in the two incidents in almost as many corners. Bates mainly at the first corner. So I believe. Am I seeing that right? Has he just skipped on the national circuit to go back into the pits? I believe he has. Yes, he has. So I'm not sure the race director will be too happy about that. I'm seeing that on the timing screen there. So that'll be looked into definitely. That's not very safe, and yeah, that's. He must have had an issue of some sort in order to do that, to cut out the whole GP loop. But yeah, here we go. As I'm not sure it is raining, but our safety car driver there believes it is. His screen wipers go.
He might be waving to us. No, the cameras are here. There you go. just a little wave to the fans, of course. Yeah, I don't think cutting the chicane is a happy thought, but cutting the entire loop is even worse.
Here, Callum Williams. He's lagged back from the rest of the safety car queue, which I believe is a penalty in itself, as you're meant to stay within 5 gaps. Or is there an internet issue here?
That's a little bit of latency from what I can see. Oh, that's a big latency. Yeah. Unfortunate just to go look at as well.
I believe they all are. Oh, he's out of fuel, I believe. Looking at him, he's now pulled off. As you see on the screen, actually. He has actually pulled off, and he is getting going again. I believe he had an issue as well in another series that I look after. I believe he had a similar sort of issue. Safety car is in this lap, as you said earlier.
So just unfortunate for Callum Williams there. He's way far behind. You can see him just entered the screen there in the back. So he is catching up and will be caught up by the time that Josh Nesbitt will start for the race again. So the safety car speeding in through the chicane now, going into the pits. And a big thanks to Josh Cornelius taking over the role of the safety car and leading the pack safely through the lap. And it's now all to Josh Nesbitt. All eyes on him to see who is going to, or who is going to try and pass him into turn 1. We see Thibaut Geurten already quite nicely looking for it. And Ben Mascal on Nesbit, also very eager to take back that position and maybe even one Curtin as well. Weaving massively to keep that tire temperature in. It's not too hot, not too cold either, so it's nothing really out of the ordinary. As Nesbit has gone going again, and Raquelme is still stuck behind Thibaut Geurten, has gotten away quite well. It is green, so we are safe to overtake, and behind Geurten there is a small, a little bit of a bigger gap starting to form already to Ben Nesbit. Pascal has held behind, and these rolling starts are usually the same exit of turn 1 as they enter turn 1, so nothing really spectacularly going on the restart here. Lap number 4 has just started out of 11. So 3 races with 11 laps. We have the first half of the race almost done as Nesbit holds on to the lead.
Oh, there's a wide high Hyundai there. I didn't quite see if that was, I think that might have been Callum Parrish. Went slightly wide. I don't know whether he was trying to get past Matt Raid or the other way around, but he's now still on the circuit. That'll be track limits. He's go wide again in that corner. That is Matt Raid back down the inside. Further back down the grid as it seems to be closing up slightly. This is a little bit more weaving from the BMWs, who will take slightly longer to warm their tyres up, get them all up to pressure, as Thibaut Geurten's on the attack in that Vauxhall.
Yeah, it's only a few corners for the end of this first rolling lap, but it is the hairpins. It's Ben Nesbit trying to hold on defensively as Geurten is indeed looking on the inside of Raquelme. That BMW trying to make himself as wide as possible. The car is quite wide, so that is luckily readily available. And Ben Nesbit maybe looking for something as Geurten was a little bit too deep into the last corner of the track, but Nesbit still not able to gain a place and has just gone defensively as Josh is leading this after the restart. Is not handing over any points to anyone else. So you get 1 point for leading at least one full lap in the race, and he's currently the only driver to do so in race number 1, so he's not really ready to hand over those points to anyone else behind. Callum Paris and Matt Raid still fighting. Raid being on the hard compound, a little bit of a disadvantage, and lots of smoke being thrown there in the face of Ben Nesbit. It's probably going to be a grand entrance. That's a little bit wide line there as well, as Raquelme has gone through on the timing as he's fighting with Josh Nesbit, and that's a little bit of a push as I believe that's Raquelme going on through. So Raquelme gaining the lead and now having to defend from Josh Nesbit. So Raquelme, the number 16, leading the race, getting an overtake out of the old hairpin. It's a big line there towards the next turn. It's all flat out, all a left-hander. You get your nose in towards the left-hand side, basically can push out the other drivers. Going to the chicane now, leading at the end of lap number 5. As we do have a DNF from Noah Batts. It also looks like Callum Williams has DNF, so he's still in the pits as well. As Ollie Hutton and Madhouse are currently swapping around in positions. Porter now looking at Young, who's that's a small tap to the side. The tagline for the series is "Rubbing is racing," but taps are of course a little bit more advanced. A big send there for Young, a little bit too deep into the corner, but we'll take the longer line around to still keep his momentum in, keep the foot in, and Porter losing the place down to 10th.
So I'm seeing some contact for that lead change, and there was some contact obviously there between was it Hutton and Madhouse.
Oh, that's a send towards the inside by Bukorn, and Paris just being pushed wide, and there he goes again, very far off the track. And Paris not happy with the fighting that's been going on.
Riders have been warned for contact, and there have been some very strict penalties in this series so far for causing another driver's downfall by using your car as a battering ram to get past them. So they all know the rules, they all know the regulations. Just race cleanly and race fair. That's all you need to do. You can see the Hyundai having a little look down the inside of Ollie Hutton there.
Yeah, it's also very tempting if it's points paying positions all the way down to 15% of the race to get your points. That means that Noah Batts and Callum Williams will unfortunately not get their points. As we do have an update, as it appears that Noah Batts, his wheel has broken, so that does explain why he skipped the entire loop to go back to the pits. So that is unfortunately a reason for a DNF. Hopefully he can have something fixed in the next 10 minutes before the start of race number 2. As Ben Nesbitt has gone up past Thibaut Geurten for 3rd place, trying to secure that podium place and give himself that hard compound for race number 2. And the 2nd row start will be on the right hand side on the track, as Callum Williams has also been reported to have internet issues, meaning that DNF is also now justified. So you'll have to spend the rest of the race on the grid, or in the pits, and hopefully reconnect back again for race number 2 and 3. As Riquelme is being chased. Josh Nesbitt, a very fast driver, obviously by looking at that pole position time. Absolutely grand move from him. Losing the place, one of his finest moments. But he's definitely looking to get that back. 2 seconds to Ben Nesbitt. Riquelme has a bit more boost than Nesbitt has. The question is, have they used it already? Or is that still in the back pocket for one of these drivers to take it away? Maybe Riquelme has used one of his boosts to get past Josh. It looks like they're going as is through the chicane. It's going to be quite risky, but quite well from the looks of it. Ben Nesbitt is holding on to Thibaut Geurten, and it's basically anyone's game now for that 3rd place, as Maskel in the BMW might have the advantage in terms of the car, and Sewald is still quite close, as you can see him join in behind as well. So anyone from 3rd down to 6th can still claim that last podium spot for race number 1.
You see the Astra just taking a slightly tighter line. That Ford taking the slightly wider line into the straight, which obviously given him that a little bit more gap. As you see, Riquelme has now set the new fastest lap. He already had it, but purple sector 2 means that he can set another fastest lap. And that's obviously, I believe that's another point as well, isn't it? 1:32.327 for the race leader, who's now half a second ahead of P2, who's 2.5 seconds, or 2 seconds rather, ahead of P3.
This was a good start for Nesbitt, and somewhere along the line he lost something. Maskel having a little bit of a wide moment out of the old hairpin, going on to some grass cut and some side quests, as Sewald is getting quite close. Going to be holding the inside line through the right hander here. Will take the position away, and Maskel just dropping back. Unfortunately, losing another place here. He's going to try and hold on to the outside, but I don't think that's possible through this corner all the way to the end. And that is still a wheel side by side. Not enough for anything to claim, but he does have the run out of the corner, and that's where the BMW just shines absolutely perfectly. Gets past the Sewald right behind, as we do have to change for the lead again, as Nesbitt has gone past Riquelme. In the meantime, they're fighting now into the hairpins. Maskel's going defensively, and Sewald trying to get the up and under. We saw that happen. If anyone's watched the Formula 1 sprint race earlier, go watch it. We had the same move back there. Sewald trying to hold on. The Maskel going absolutely deep, and that was a front lock. Definitely, that was a front lock for Ben Maskel. It's still side by side, drag race on towards turn number 1. The Hyundai still having that outside line being pushed all the way towards the outside. It's who gets to the apex first, who gets the car rotated, but who can keep the speed. And it's Ben Maskel pushing away Sewald just a little bit further behind, and he keeps 5th place. So from going from fighting for 3rd down to having to defend from 5th is not really a race 1 that Maskel can be happy with, I think. I think that's just a bad race 1, throw it away, start again for race number 2.
Yeah, it is hard to drive a rear-wheel drive car when you're racing against front-wheel drive cars, just because of the different lines they all take, and they're better at different locations. You said, obviously, on the corner exits, especially the slow ones, the rear-wheel drive cars will just launch away, they'll disappear. But the front-wheel drive cars can break that slightly later. Oh, that's that slight wobble onto that first bit of the chicane there. So it is quite hard for Ben Maskel there to fight against those front-wheel drive cars, especially if you're not 100% sure where they're going to put their nose. If they put their nose down the inside and you turn in, obviously you're more likely to go around than a front-wheel drive car is. So yeah, they just need to pay a little bit more attention. And it is, as I say, very, very difficult to race against another or a different wheel drive vehicle than the one you're racing.
And he's looking for a way to lose Sewald behind him. And like you said, the exit is out of those slow speed corners, like the hairpin on the final turn. that was the saving for Mescal. Obviously, Begorin getting past Young. Two Hondas fighting now for 9th place. They're still looking the inside for Young, but he's going to slot in right behind for turn number 1. A bit deep there for Begorin, and Young doing a small little tap towards the side. It's going down into the S's, and that is Begorin still up ahead. So that is, yeah, like you said, just the exit out of the slow speed corners, having the advantage out of the final turn. It's just a little bit too much for the Hyundai to keep up with, as Mescal is currently 1.5 seconds clear from the 123 car in 6th. So he should be looking at least a little bit further ahead. It's only 1 lap remaining after this one finishes, and Riquelme is still leading by about half a second, 4/10 now, to Nesbitt, and that is on equal cars, so that is going to be equal performance. And it's all up to the driver to, well, either get the setup correctly or to absolutely send it and just drive the best that they can. So we're looking at Begorin and Young here in the chicane, and these two are probably going to be fighting until the end of the race. There's only 1 lap remaining. It's going to be a shootout. That's a send towards the inside, and that's a little bit of a strange line to take. And that's a little bit too deep of a send. As that is a move attempted, but unfortunately not gained. Looks to be Porter right behind as well, trying to clean up the scraps, maybe even get a position there. Just mixing himself with the fight for P number 9.
Yeah, we're on the last lap here, and the lead is closing back up again. It just went down to just under 0.3 of a second. So Nesbitt wants another race win. I mean, he's had most of them already, but you can't fault him for trying. He's taking a slightly wider line to get the later apex. He's going to set up a move for out of the chicane would be the next location into the hairpin. That's probably, he's got 2 opportunities, I'd say. This is 0.3 away. Yeah, he's closing the gap slightly, but that's just the slipstream. He's going to have a little cheeky look, but that's just to off-put the driver ahead. And he's coming in. Just watch the track limits, as a lot of people have already been pinged for track limits. Parrish, Porter, Girton, Maskell as well, 10-second track limits penalty. Madhouse as well, all got 10-second track limits penalties, so that's not very good for their race 2 position. Yeah, this looks like it might be position done and race done. Riquelme, race win.
So that is indeed Riquelme going across the line for the checkered flag and getting the race number 1 victory, as Josh Nesbitt slots in 2nd place with his father, Ben Nesbitt, right behind in 3rd place. The Ford claiming that place. Thibaut Gerten holding on to 4th as Ben Mescal claims 5th place. The BMW, so just dropping down a few places, not grouping up with the other cars, with the other BMWs. Savold in 6th, Ollie Hutton up to 7th, Madhouse in 8th, Begorin and Young in that order for 9th and 10th. Porter in 11th, Raid and Paris just crossing the line in very quick succession for 12th and 3rd. Callum Williams and Noah Bounce having that DNF to their name with the race number 1 victory to Sebastian Riquelme, number 16 BMW, claiming the victory after 11 laps of the Donington Park GP track. And he will have that hard compound fitted under his car, just as the 2 Nesbitts will for race number 2. So that's going to be the grid for the race number 2, of course. Riquelme and then 2 Nesbitts right behind him will be forced onto that hard compound. Ollie Hutton can take the mediums as well as Matt Raid. I believe it was Callum Williams on that hard compound as well, who can take the mediums for race number 2.
That's quite impressive there by Ollie Hutton there to finish in 7th with the harder compound time, isn't it? You've got Matt Raid, the only other one that finished the race in 12th. And that harder tyre naturally is slower than the medium, obviously. So yeah, hats off to Ollie. Again, scoring good points towards his championship. He's not in 3rd for no reason. He just quietly gets on with it. Just quietly scores constant points, as you said earlier. 4th is the highest place he's finished, and I believe he's finished twice in 4th this season.
And he's still chasing that podium, but it is good for the championship. We still have quite some good fights going on. Like I said before, Ollie in third place, but I believe we have to hand that over to Thibaut Geurten now, who's missed last week, so he hasn't gotten the points from Knockhill to compete with. But now that he's gained a few places, finishing in fourth with Ollie's seventh, that's going to be a difference in 4 points, meaning that it's currently 1 point advantage for Thibaut Geurten. But Ben Nesbitt, currently in fifth, got third place, meaning he got 15 points against Thibaut Geurten's 13. So that means he's gained 1 point over Ben Nesbitt. So that means that Nesbitt is 1 point ahead of Geurten, who's 1 point ahead of Ollie Hutton. So it's 3 cars with just 2 points separating them. And I believe that is going to be very beautiful going into race 2.
That's brilliant. we'll have that. It's we love a close championship here, don't we? It's yeah, fantastic. I've just noticed that Ben Maskell also got the fastest lap in that race. He finished in seventh, I believe, with a 10-second time penalty. Obviously, 4 track limits, but his fastest lap by the looks of it wasn't a track limit one. So well done to Ben Maskell for the fastest lap.
Yeah. So that, of course, is that extra point on the board, as well as 1 lap led. And I believe those points will only go to Josh Nesbitt and to Sebastian Riquelme, who both have led that lap during this race. I don't think anyone else has even touched P1 during race number 1. It's just been Josh Nesbitt and Sebastian Riquelme trying to fight it out between each other. But they also have been within half a second, I believe, for almost the entire race. So they are quite close to get there. And this, of course, puts a little bit of a problem, a little bit of a stick in the wheel for Nesbitt's championship, as Riquelme just closed in with another 3 points, closing the gap down to 21 points. And Nesbitt's now almost 1 DNF away from losing the championship lead to Riquelme. So it is quite close. The drivers are lining up now for race number 2. Grid, of course, being the order from race number 1, with Riquelme in first, Josh Nesbitt in second, and Ben Nesbitt in third. So that will be the hard compound runners, and then behind them we have Thibaut Geurten in fourth. And yeah, so like you said, Ben Maskell dropping down to seventh with a penalty. That means then Sewald will go up to fifth, and Hutton will go up to sixth, with then again Maskell in seventh place. So that's going to be an interesting one as well, going to the start of the grid, start of the race. Everyone got away quite well on race 1, so I don't think we have too many issues for that for the second race. But the predictions were that Josh Nesbitt had such a dominant qualifying, he should have been able to just run away with it. But uncharacteristically, we have him drop down a place.
Yeah, which yeah, as you say, was a bit strange, but yeah, he's motor racing. As I said, anything could happen, and it did. But yeah, he's as long as he keeps scoring top points, even if he's just 1 place behind Riquelme, then that's what he needs to do. He's got that lead at the moment. But something I'm just before we go into race, we've got about a minute to go. I've just seen that Callum Parrish, he says his pedal snapped off during lap 1 by the looks of it. He managed to hit a Honda, and then his dad walked into the room and was pit crew and fixed his pedals. So hats off there to the Parrish family for fixing the pedals mid-race, and he still finished the race. That is quite impressive. Quite impressive there, I'm seeing.
The real-life pit crews now being installed in the sim races rooms to make sure that they get their races done. That's quite the new advancement. So we look down to the grid with Riquelme in first, Nesbitt in second, Nesbitt also in third, with Josh and Ben in that order. Sewald in fourth, Ollie Hutton in fifth, Thibaut Geurten up to sixth, and Ben Maskell in seventh, Bicorn and in eighth. Then we have, I believe that is Young right behind him as well. So we are currently looking at the number 16 car. This is Sebastian Riquelme getting ready for the race. BMW lining up, the lights going on, and then almost back off for race number 2. And we're green with a good start for Riquelme from the looks of it. Looks like Nesbitt is going to be slotting in right behind, and that's a very good start for the both of them, or a very bad start for Ben Nesbitt. We're almost going 3 wide into the first turn. That is 3 wide into the first turn. So Riquelme is still in first, Nesbitt dropping right behind him, and Ben Mescal up to 4th place. That's Ben Nesbitt dropping back 1 place, dropping back another place. That's Mescal off into the wall, and that's Ollie Hutton off the track as well, holding it straight, so getting back onto the track, and that's Mescal joining back in. So that is going to be Ollie Hutton in 13th, Ben Mescal down to 14th. But that is a big contact, lots of contact in the middle of the track, in the middle of the field as well. But it's the front two that get away quite cleanly.
That was scary for Mescal. It reminds me of Jason Plato many years ago. I believe it was in a Chevrolet Cruze. Ended up hitting that concrete barrier and rolling a few times. But hats off, he's continued, and he's continuing as we see a battle for the lead again as we come down into the chicane. Riquelme versus Nesbitt, who's the latest on the brakes. So it is Riquelme, he's got the inside track limits there. I believe
that's track limits definitely for Riquelme. So we're going on to another hairpin, and they're still side by side going onto the penultimate corner of the track. Nesbitt on the inside line. Riquelme trying to switch something back as you can in this hairpin. Look at loosey-goosey on the rear for Josh Nesbitt, but he holds on to P1. Riquelme is slotting in right behind, still wants to go for a look, but Josh is on the inside line trying to go defensive. A little bit too deep, and there it is. A little look as they're going side by side once again. Like you said, with a different drive car, you might be able to get the advantage on one place or the other. These are equal cars, and they should be looking for something. As lap 2 has just started, that means that Riquelme doesn't get the point for leading the lap on this race, as Josh Nesbitt is taking away the lead. You see Madhouse and Ollie Hutton having a little fight, as Hutton has gone back up to 10th place, and Madhouse is dropping down to 12th.
Yeah, I think Nesbitt was using the boost out of that last corner just to get across the line in the lead. By the looks of it, it's yeah, very strange to have. It was, I think, 2.5, 3 tenths gap to Riquelme. Bear in mind they were level on the corner exit. We see battles there in the background. Second, the Hondas fighting. I think that's with Matt Raid.
Yeah, there's definitely a fight basically everywhere on the grid. So we see the first two, and then we see Thibaut Geurten going around the outside of Ben Nesbitt, who holds his nose in for the chicane. Has to leave the space, of course, but that is Ben Nesbitt ahead on the right hand there. But they still seem to be side by side going on towards this penultimate corner. So the first of the two hairpins, and Geurten having the inside line here will take that position away from Ben Nesbitt, who drops down to 4th place. Sewald ready to pick up the pieces already within that second to Ben Nesbitt, trying to join him on this fight. If he gets slowed down enough, you can see him in the background here, just joining this fight. That's a little bit deep for Thibaut Geurten, but he still holds on to that 3rd place. And that's, of course, Ben Nesbitt on the hards. The drivers that have gone onto the hards, there's quite a few of them. Paris has gone mediums once again. Ollie Hutton is onto the mediums. Porter's on the mediums. As Ben Nesbitt, it's the inside line on Geurten, but it's a little bit of a faster car coming through the Vauxhall, just holding on to that 3rd place. They're fighting for their lives, it seems like. These two are doing absolutely everything they can to secure that 3rd place.
Absolutely, that was 2 purple sectors 1 and 2, and Geurten's just gone again for the purple sector 1 on this lap. He's going for that fastest lap, definitely. If he's not using the boost, I'll be very, very surprised. It was a very clever move as well, I must say, through that chicane. It's very easy to make contact, especially when you're talking to contact. Somebody is off, digging himself out of the. That's another high Hyundai. I think that was Parish Madhouse. I think almost coming together as the Honda rejoins, and it's closing up the lead. In fact, it's 1 tenth, 2 tenths now.
And Buchhorn going off for a small moment, but rejoining back again, still in 13th. The inside not being looked at by Nesbitt, so it's all the way open for Riquelme to stick his nose in, and he does so quite cleanly as he parks on the apex. Small contact from the front of Josh Nesbitt, hitting the rear of Riquelme, but Riquelme getting that lead into the second to last corner. So heading into the final one now, but Nesbitt is slotting in behind as Riquelme takes the lead back away from it, from pole to second, now back to 3rd at the ending of lap number 3. So every single lap we've had a different leader, and they haven't led a full lap yet, I believe. It might have been Josh leading lap number 2. They're still getting very, very close. I believe that's once again Just a few taps being exchanged by Nesbitt and Riquelme for the lead. If it's a NASCAR bump draft or if it's side-by-side action, we're quite unsure, but it looks to be just all friendly taps.
Yeah, when you're doing 120, 130 mile an hour round corners, of course you're going to have a little bit of contact, especially when you're racing that closely, as they are swapping yet again as we go up the hill. But yeah, it's all fair. They're staying on the circuit. They're keeping it no issues. They're not gaining a place by it. So I'm more than happy to allow them to continue to do that and continue to race as they are. And Girton seems to be catching them slowly, which is obviously a side effect of them battling. And he has now set the fastest lap of the race as well. So that's a point to Girton, which he needs in that battle with Ollie Hutton, who's still on his recovery drive.
Yeah, like I would say, you're only as fast as your slowest driver if you're battling. And currently, that is well, Nesbitt and Riquelme on their weaker lines. As Ollie Hutton goes for a send onto Matt Reid. They were fighting with Young a little bit ago, but Young getting off the track a tiny bit as well. So that is onto the grass and losing 2 places in the middle part of the track. And Hutton with a good send takes 6th place. Has been going back up. Once again, like you said, this recovery drive for Hutton going very, very well as he's in 6th and looking to chase down Sewalt, who's currently in 5th. As Thibaut is dropping back a little bit in the number 50 Vauxhall, currently in 3rd place. So he's just a second away from Riquelme, and well, the gap is still there, but it's not increasing or decreasing as it stands. They're just chasing each other down through these points. Just like I said, Josh Nesbitt taking away the lead back again for lap number 4. We're approaching the halfway mark of lap number 5, excuse me, as we're approaching the halfway mark of the race, and they've been swapping around quite well, and it might as well be that Thibaut Hurten will take the lead at some point in this race.
Yeah, I mean, it's now 9/10 gap between 1st and 2nd, so I believe Nesbitt must have been using the boost to get away, or Nesbitt's had or Riquelme rather has had a little bit of an issue. Going back to Ollie Hutton, he's set a purple sector 1, so he's on it now. He's got rid of those hard tyres and he's going for it. He's definitely going. He's pushing hard as well. That's quicker than the race leader in sector 2 as well. So he's absolutely flying. He's definitely pushing to get that 5th and as high up the grid for race 3, the reverse grid race.
And these are the stories that we're seeing. It's of course going to be that reverse grid draw that we're going to see between race number 2 and race number 3, where anyone between 6th and 12th can be pulled towards the reverse grid pole position, and it's only a matter of time before we see which position that is going to be. But unfortunately, we can only see that towards the end of after the conclusion of this race, and that's all to keep the integrity. To prevent the drivers from knowing which position will get pole, and then fighting for their lives to keep that position. So if it was a top 10 reverse, then Callum Williams would have been very happy to stay in 10th and not gain anything up to P9, because he knows that pole position is just quite important here, as the lead has just drawn away a tiny bit. Riquelme dropping back a little bit more as we see Young holding on to Callum Williams, who sends it in a little bit too deep, and that Toyota onto the sand off the track, and now has to worry about Madhouse right behind, who is going to go past. And Hyundai up to 10th place, and Callum Williams trying to go for an overtake, but in doing so, the Gazoo car off the wazoo.
Yeah, just outbraked himself slightly. Oh, well, that looked like Girton was going to rear-end the back of Riquelme then. Slightly different braking points, or he messed up the brakes slightly, but still with that fastest lap, and he is definitely hunting down those BMWs.
Yeah, like you said, Ollie Hutton is putting the pedal to the metal. On the previous lap, he's gained about 9/10 on Sewalt in 5th. He is only, hear me out, 2/10 away from the fastest lap that we saw Thibaut do just a moment ago. Currently have a 32.7 for Josh Nesbitt in 1st. And Ollie has done a 33.0 on the 2 laps ago, 33.2 now. So it's only within half a second of the pace that the leaders are doing at the moment. So that means that he's currently gaining on Sewald. Gap's now 3 seconds and closing in. It's Ben Nesbitt. He has dropped back behind Thibaut Geurten. He's quite far away now, about 4 seconds. He has Sewald as a visitor right behind him. The Hyundai trying to take away the spot from the Ford. But I do believe that if these two keep it up, and like we've said before, two drivers battling is going to only bring the driver behind a little bit closer. We can hear Ollie Hutton getting closer, and there he's going, trying to make his way onto this battle as well. But Ben Nesbitt and Sewald having to fight it out on their own for now.
Yeah, fastest lap now has gone to Josh Nesbitt, as that gap has actually closed in slightly, as you say, is 1 second. So we're seeing a little bit of internet issues. The cars aren't actually going sideways into that corner.
I wish they were, though. It would have been quite amazing. Quite a strategy, as Young takes away a P8 from Porter, as Young is on the recovery. He's lost the position to Ollie to Matt Raid, and now to Porter once again, as he's lost one space. Madhouse lost his position as well, but he's joining this battle once more. So a three-way fight for 8th place, as Matt Raid is a little bit too far up ahead, and Callum Williams in the background there, trying to recover as well from the race 1 incident. So now the lead in this battle, the number 32 Ford, going through turn 1, lap number 8, just a few laps to go. He's trying to hold on to that 8th place. That's quite a good amount of points on the board. So I believe that Riquelme is also looking for a bit more points. Currently dancing around that 1 second gap towards Josh Nesbitt in first. And Thibaut Geurten is quite closely behind. So Riquelme can't really go for a send or can't even go for a send or anything, as we saw that with, I believe that was that Matt Raid, or was Madhouse, going for a send and then losing a position because he left the door just a little bit too far open. And as the inside being defended for Riquelme, Geurten around the outside, still holding on, but he's going to be pushed wide. And now we'll have the inside look. That's a small tap on the rear of the BMW. Geurten now looking for it. And the exit speed of the BMW being strong, but this Vauxhall Astra also quite good, a bit too deep into the final corner. But they're side by side onto the start finish straight. It's only a question as to who gets out in first after turn number 1. They're absolutely equal, going towards the timing line. Now into turn 1, space is being given onto the apex for Geurten, who holds on to 2nd place for now. Riquelme trying to stick his nose in, but he can't. And he's lost the place. That's Thibaut Geurten up to 2nd place.
Wow, well done. That was good racing there as well. There was a little bit of room, and he saw the opportunity, made the pass. There was side-by-side contact, which is absolutely fine. Yeah, made the pass fair. And while you were talking about that, Ollie Hutton, fastest lap of the race. So we were saying he was pushing. He's now 1.2 seconds behind Sewald there, and he's now got the fastest lap of the race. So another point towards his championship.
Well, if it stays like this, that's for sure. But I believe that Josh Nesbitt will look in the mirrors, see a Vauxhall, and then be absolutely scared because Geurten is trying his absolute darndest to get past as well. But Ollie has a target in front of him, 1.5 seconds to look for. As Sewald is trying to fight here with Ben Nesbitt, a little bit ahead into the entry of the chicane. And that's a little bit of side-by-side action. And Sewald losing out on this. Ollie Hutton trying to get closer again. Riquelme trying to go through on Geurten as we speak, as Hutton is trying to get a position on Sewald. Gets that from that slow exit of the Hyundai. And this time around, Riquelme holding on to 2nd place. Geurten having to go the long way around, but being stalled back. Switch back not possible. Slipstream not possible. And Riquelme back up to 2nd place.
You don't know where to look, do we? Poor Peter's like a nodding dog here, trying to focus on Ollie, who's catching people up, and that's a battle for 2nd place. So
yeah, it's luckily not a fight for 1st and a fight for 3rd and a fight for 5th, all at the same time. Josh Nesbitt kind of chilling out in front, 2 seconds ahead of Riquelme, who still has the company of Geurten in his mirror. It's only a few tenths, if we can even call it a few. It's closer to a 1/10.5 at some points for these two, as they're going absolutely crazy, side by side even at some points. The right-hander here going up the hill onto the back straight, and then it's the chicane and the 2 hairpins, and that's the position where we saw the position for change, the change for positions twice already, and we can see that once more, hopefully on this lap. Currently lap 10, so that means one more lap after they cross the line. And Josh Nesbitt, here we see him going through the chicane. That's defensive moves from Riquelme into the chicane. That's a bad break for Gerten. Held it on the track for a little bit, cutting the track. That's track limits. And that is the fight for second basically over. So you've got one more lap to do so. Madhouse in 10th, having a little sandwich here with Porter ahead and Callum Williams behind him, the Hyundai. Looking forward, seeing a Ford. Looking behind, seeing a Toyota. Trying to go defensive as Williams is holding his racing line, and Madhouse keeping 10th place for now. And they're also looking at Young, who's just a tiny bit ahead. There he is, just taking the corner. A bit too deep for Madhouse once more. That's Callum Williams going on through, and Madhouse down to 11th. Ben Nesbitt now has the company of Ollie Hutton, who has been chasing down cars ahead of him one by one. Sewald was passed at some point in the past 2 laps, and now he's right behind Ben Nesbitt, who looked to be quite strong here, but he is on the hards. Ollie Hutton is on the mediums. I believe Hutton has to grab the hards for race number 1, meaning that he has this advantage, and he will have that advantage for race number 3 as well. Does he get P4? That's just the question. Out of the old hairpin, it's quite close still, going onto the long left, sweeping straight on the back of the section, of back of the track, going uphill now. And now it's just a long straight onto a chicane and then 2 hairpins, and that's all they have to say for this fight. Nesbitt still ahead. As it stands, we see Josh Nesbitt being quite far ahead. Riquelme and Gerten, as they were into the chicane, still Ben Nesbitt leading Hutton going through into the final sector. I don't think it's going to be anything going into the hairpin. Oh, that's a big defensive move there for Ben Nesbitt. It might be something. Hutton trying to set himself up for success out of that final corner. And this is going to be the final run. Defensive for Ben Nesbitt, the Ford 116 car on the inside. Brakes in time. The inside being opened. Ollie Hutton on the exit. Will have to press the pedal, but it's Ben Nesbitt ultimately who gets 4th place. And Josh Nesbitt getting the victory. Riquelme in 2nd. Hutton in 3rd. And Ben Nesbitt holding on to 4th. Hutton in 5th. Sewald in 6th. Matt Reid crosses the line now in 7th place. Young now in a fight for some point scoring positions. 8th place for him as Porter 9th. Madhouse 10th. And Callum Williams 11th. Ben Mascal unfortunately down to 12th. Has that chance for that reverse grid pole. But the chances is I think 1 in 6. As Bicorn gets 13th place and Paris 14th. As race number 2 over, with Josh Nesbitt getting the victory.
He also managed to steal fastest lap as well on that last lap, and that's as I say, quite impressive. That's 11 or 10 laps rather. Oh yeah, it's 11 laps of racing on the hard tyres, and then he goes and sets the fastest lap of the race on those hard tyres. So very well done to him. And another large gap as well, as you say, to that 2nd place. Riquelme and Gerten did have that battle. Very impressive battle as well. That was very clean and fair from the bits we saw. Just having a look down, there's a few track limits penalties. We'll be able to confirm in a bit. I think Porter's got one. Can't see anyone else on the list on my screen at the moment. Just waiting for it to refresh, but we'll update you as and when we can.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing about this fastest lap situation is that, like you said, Josh Nesbitt getting the fastest lap away from Ollie Hutton, who desperately tried to fight his way through to Ben Nesbitt, and in chasing the cars ahead, into chasing Sewald and chasing Nesbitt, he's got the fastest lap, and then that later on gets handed to Josh Nesbitt with, like you said, those hard tires already 11 laps or 10 laps of racing, and on the 11th lap getting that fastest lap. But it wasn't just the fastest lap, it was 3/10 quicker than Ollie Hutton on maximum pace. So Ollie pushing like crazy in clean air, getting the lap times down and down, having that target, getting a 32.5. And then Josh Nesbitt on the hards getting a 32.2. So that is an insane fast lap that we got as we're heading on to our reverse grid draw for race number 3. So we get the wheel looking on the screen in just a few seconds. There we have it. 7 positions of a chance from 6th on to 12th. We're going to spin the wheel and see which one of these positions will get pole for race number 3. And it looks to be landing on position 11. So the top 11 of the results from race number 2 will be split, will be reversed with 11th place on pole position. And that means that Josh Nesbitt will start in 11th for this final race. That does mean that because he started race 2 on that hard compound, he's allowed to start on the mediums again for race number 3. So the top 11 of the grid will be reversed. That's almost the entire grid, because with that DNF from Noah Batts having some issues, I believe that is only 3 drivers that start from where they finished for race number 3. So that is it's quite interesting. We also got an update that Josh Nesbitt had 8 laps of HEMS, 8 laps of his energy management system, and he only used 2. So that's quite the feat, having such a, it was about 4 seconds of a gap, I believe, almost 5 seconds towards Raquelme in second, and he hasn't even used all of his energy.
Yeah, so I believe that's a mistake. I believe he's actually only meant to have had 2, but for whatever reason, there's a glitch in the system somewhere, and he was given 8. Obviously, with him starting the previous race, was it first or second?
It has to be second. Then Raquelme getting the victory in race number 1, meaning that Nesbitt started in second, gaining 2 laps. That seems fair. I think that's also according to the regulations, so there might be just having to do some restraint, giving 8, and then just using 2, and then seeing the 6 remaining on your dashboard, thinking, am I going to click it? Am I going to use it? But of course, not allowed. And that's good restraint. So that's that's of course very interesting. Stuff like that happens every now and then. It's a big hassle to do. Now as well, with the championship standings having to be concluded after race number 2. Or at least the results having to be counted up after race number 1 and race number 2, and now the HEM system having to be applied once more from the championship standings after race number 2. Nothing really too crazy going on. Nesbitt extending his lead out in front. Thibaut Geurten extending his lead over Ollie Hutton. I believe that Ben Mescal has just dropped back a few spots after losing quite a few places there on that second race, as Ben Nesbitt has also gained some more points than Ollie Hutton as well. So it's going to be Thibaut Geurten, Ben Nesbitt, and then Ollie Hutton in the standings for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. They'll also gain their HEMS allocation accordingly from those positions. And the funny thing is, though, is that if, like you said, Tom, we had some penalties, and if it ends up that Ben Mescal gets into that top 10, he can start quite far ahead, and that is what happened. Ben Mescal is starting in 2nd place, and he's dropped down in the standings a little bit, which means that he gets more HEMS. So Begorn getting that pole position away. Ben Mescal in 2nd place, Callum Williams in the 3rd on the left-hand side of your screen. Young with the number 12 Honda in P4. That is Mad Raid on the left-hand side, Savold right alongside as well. Ollie Hutton in 7th for the start. Ben Nesbitt 8th right behind in the 116 Ford. Thibaut Geurten, Sebastian Raquelme, and then of course our race winner Josh Nesbitt in P11. And right behind those we have our regular starters. That is Porter, Madhouse, and Paris, starting from where they finished after race 1. And if Porter got that penalty, then that means that Bicorn got that pole position from Porter's penalty. So he's going to have to thank him in the paddock after the race, and that is going to be Bicorn, the number 66 Honda, in pole position for race number 3.
Yeah, so I believe it was 6/10. That's all it was. Bicorn only got that pole position by 6/10. Porter, Madhouse, and Parrish all got 10-second penalties for track limits in that previous race. As we get ready to go, 30 seconds till we go green for the final race of the evening. As you say, the reverse grid race. Oh, lots of action expected.
Yeah, so those 3 drivers not being part of that reverse grid are the 3 drivers with that penalty, and I believe that is just a just something that feels fair to me. That just feels a little bit fair. Bagor now having that pole position, of course, and then Josh Nesbitt having to fight back from 11th place. The lights are on. Race 3 is almost to go, and we're green with Buhorn on pole position and Ben Mescal having a grand old launch already passed before we even get to the pit lane exit. And that's Ben Mescal up into first, and that's a send on to the inside from Callum Williams, who's trying to make the most out of that start. And Bukorn now dropping back to 3rd place. And oh, there's some contact there, and that's Ollie Hutton off the track, dropping back all the way to last. As Callum Paris is also going through there. Lots more contact as we head on through, but that is Ollie Hutton all the way to down to last, and I'm not quite sure what happened. Tom, do we have the intel?
Yeah, I believe it was John that Ollie Hutton had a coming together with. I didn't quite see what it was exactly, but it was that car that's currently in P5 or P6 now as he's dropped back in further.
So that's a sideways. That's Madhouse off the track. Madhouse and I believe that's Paris. That's not Paris. That's Thibaut Gertenhoff. So Gerten now in 13th place. Paris is trying to find his way through. That is a calls for a safety car. The safety car being called. The grid neutralized, and we have a little bit of breathing room as Madhouse and Gerten off the track, and the grid will be collapsed once again. So we had some contacts in turn number 1, and that sent Thibaut Gerten, Ollie Hutton off the track. He's recovered back to 10th though. So something's happened in turn number 1, and something's happened in the final bit of sector 2.
Yeah, I'm just loading up the replay on the server now. I think Ollie Hutton had gone to the inside, hadn't he? And I think Jorn from the outside, I think he might have just cut back in. Let me just have a quick look. Ollie Hutton's gone to the inside. And yeah, there was just slight contact on the exit of the corner. Jorn's, well, on the outside, using that curb that you see the drivers on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, top right of the screen, you see, left-hand side as you're driving, was on that curb. He had no further to go. Ollie Hutton, obviously, just on the power, just clipped the side of Jorn by the looks of it, and obviously that's just sent him round, unfortunately. Very unfortunate accident, very easy to do, especially early on in a race when the tyres aren't exactly at their warmest. But everyone else did very well to avoid him, bearing in mind everyone was about a million wide into that first corner. So, yeah, just an unfortunate accident there for Hutton. But I'm sure, judging by his race 2 pace, that he will battle all the way back through. As we see the safety car lights aren't on, and safety car is in this lap.
So that means that the grid will reply to Ben Mescal's setting of the pace, and I believe that incident in race 2 has just put him on the front row, basically on pole position, handed to him as Bukorn had a little bit of a bad start, getting off the line, giving the number 2 BMW his way, and Josh Nesbitt all the way up to 5th place. And that's quite the recovery already for the 99 BMW. Riquelme up to 7th. I believe that is from 10th. And that is also quite a good jump already. And like you said, just a lot of cars wide. I believe we're going to have a similar restart as we had in race number 1, where the drivers rolling just a little bit more. Yeah, that's Madhouse dropping back and off the track.
Yeah,
so Kurt is now back onto it. Back to the race start. Ben Mescal having the opportunity to pull away, and from a slow speed corner, like I said, the rear wheel drive just a little bit too quick. The track is green, and Mescal has gone past the timing line, and they are all as is. But Paris and Porter are still fighting on the back. We can see that yellow and the light blue car coming up to turn number 1. Paris being the driver right behind. Gerten is locking in, and Paris now locking in as well into 11th. And Madhouse has gone back to the pit, so that a little bit of an incident in the on the safety car as Josh Nesbitt getting past Mad Raid. And now instantly close to Bukorn as well, the number 66 Honda not having a single moment to breathe, as that is Nesbitt already having a little look on the inside. That's wide for Bukorn, and the position for Nesbitt has gone from 11th to 3rd in just 2.5 laps time. Now he's setting his sights up front, 2 seconds to Callum Williams, who's holding on to Ben Mascal quite well. We can see the red car there, and the Toyota holding on to the BMW behind, in front of him. So, and now he also has a BMW behind, and I think that was Riquelme having a little look as well. Very difficult to do so, as that's Ben Nesbitt having a little send on, having a little fight with Riquelme. The inside will be handed to the Ford, but can he make it? That's very late on the brakes. Gets it stopped in time. And that's very beautiful stuff from Ben Nesbitt to get that position back and keeping Riquelme behind.
Absolutely. Textbook block pass there. Stop it on the apex. The car has no option but to go wide. I've just had a little look at the Madhouse incident. It does seem that Madhouse was weaving, and then the safety car was alerted to be going back into the pits. And as he was weaving, the car behind him, which I believe was Girton, just clipped him and sent him round, unfortunately. And as you say, he's retired the car. It's the end of his race 3, the end of his evening, which is unfortunate. I'm sure the race director will have a look at that post-event.
And the fact that we have a few safety cars already means that we'll have some post-race penalties for sure, to the discretion of the race director, of course. Ben Mascal having to look behind now. Callum Williams is still within that second. The gap appears to be quite big, but that's just because these cars go so damn fast, and Williams now has to look behind him as well, because he's currently in a BMW sandwich. Korn has dropped back a tiny bit, got Mad Raid right close to him, Ben Nesbitt right behind him, and then Riquelme, the third BMW, trying to make his way through onto the grid. And that's all within a second. These 3 cars from 5th down to 7th, all fighting for some podium spots still, as Josh Nesbitt is part of that podium, and Callum Williams dropping back a tiny bit more. Ben Nesbitt having to go defensive into the penalties temporarily from Ben Nesbitt, as he's recovering from the exit, still holds on to the inside line. Goes back towards the outside, and as Ben Nesbitt sending it on through, opening it up for Riquelme possibly as well on the exit here, on towards turn number 1. As Nesbitt has the place, but I believe that's Raid getting passed again into turn 1, and let's see who gets the upper hand going out of turn 1, and that once again is a block pass. That's Riquelme trying to be a little bit spicy into turn number 1, but Nesbitt having the better exit. Now down towards the S's onto the old hairpin. That's Ben Nesbitt all the way through.
I thought that was Matt Raid playing a really smart game. I thought he was letting him back through for that last corner so that he could stay on the inside for turn 1 and block the apex again. But somehow Ben Nesbitt has got past, and now the BMW of Riquelme is going down the inside of him up the top of the hill. Again, a little block pass. That's it. Easy manoeuvre, as the Honda behind has got the Hyundai of Parish, I think it is, down the inside.
Now that's Sewald in the 1-2-3 getting past Young. So the Honda having a little moment there, as Josh Nesbitt's gone past Callum Williams now, and Young now looking at Sewald once again for the chicane. It's going to be an inside look. There's nothing you can do as Sewald. Oh, that's just a big slide for Ollie Hutton, but he's carrying so much speed with that slide that he's going to have a look on these 2 lads as well, going into the final sector of the track. And we have a lot of smoke coming on through. The inside being open, Sewald having a little look. And like we've said countless times before, you're only as fast as the slowest driver in the battle. And if you're not on the optimal lines, you're both going to lose a lot of time. And Ollie Hutton now behind this battle, caught up in it and losing some time as well. Time that he wants to gain on the guys ahead. He's unfortunately losing here. Sewald now back up to 8th. But Riquelme now in 6th. And Josh Nesbitt from 11th up to 2nd, as Callum Williams has dropped back to 3rd. He's now 6.5 seconds behind Mascal, 4.5 behind Josh Nesbitt, as Bukorn is now also going past.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at the fastest laps. Ben Mascal has done a 1:31.6. Fastest lap in race 2 was a 1:32.2. Fastest lap in race 1 was a 1:32 1:2.0. So in fact, he's gone a heck of a lot quicker than anyone, 4/10 quicker than his own fastest lap in race 1, which is the fastest lap in the races. So he's flying 2.6 seconds faster than anyone else, as we see a massive train stacking up here behind the Honda. I think that's Callum Williams looking first in the queue, looking just to try and get down the inside of the hairpin. And will it be with block pass like we saw earlier on? It is, yeah, right on the brakes. That's it. On the inside, keep on the inside, push the other driver slightly wide, obviously leaving racing room. That's it, perfectly done. The BMW's in the hunt now, though. Callum Williams has left himself vulnerable in this second of the hairpin. Yeah, oh, a little bit of contact there between Williams and the Honda in front, and the Honda in front has now been overtaken by the BMW. Perfect opportunist move, who's now on the inside for turn 1.
And the BMW able to pull it away from that final corner, but Picorn just a little bit better on the brakes, but goes a little bit wide, and Riquelme now back up to P3, and they've once again, like we've said countless times before, the BMWs are conspiring against us. Their first, second, and third, as Riquelme now claims that third place, and I believe what we were saying about the fastest lap from Ben Mascal before we had to look at the massive changes in this train, is that Ben Mascal is not in the top 3 in the championship standings. And the HEMS allocation is according to the championship standings, meaning that Ben Mascal will get a lot of HEMS allocation, as Ben Nesbitt is having a little bit of trouble following through on Callum Williams and having Matt Reid right behind him. And that is going to be a small look from Nesbitt, trying to defend his way from Matt Reid, who is looking to be quite a nuisance here going into the chicane. We're not going 3 wide, are we? We're not going 3 wide. We're going 3 wide into the chicane. And that's good stuff from them to at least keep it the right, pointed in the right way. But Ollie Hutton going on through in all of this as well, claims 6th place. As Matt Reid breaking a little bit too deep into the turn, and that is Ollie Hutton up to 6th. That's, I believe, 3 positions for the 93 Cupra, who's going to have to hold on defensively onto the final corner, but I believe he'll hold that. So Ben Nesbitt now down to 10th place, and there's a lot of cars here in a very small section of the track. So now getting overtaken as well. And Riquelme, we can see him just disappear a little bit with Bacorn a tiny bit too far away. Ollie Hutton now in that 6th position. Matt Reid right behind him. Young still fighting as well. But Ben Nesbitt and Sewald the closest of anyone in this fight, and Ollie Hutton absolutely putting the pedal down.
Yeah, he wasn't really involved in that initial battle, which was a bit odd. He just again, like I said at the very beginning of this stream, he just likes to score points, and that's that. He doesn't get involved in anything dodgy. He just scores points quite easily and gains positions while others.
I think this is a case of a do-nothing P2 that we see in Formula 1 quite often. As we do have Young now off the track. He's stationary. He's gone back and rolling again with the number 12 Honda. Beautiful sound, but not as beautiful sights. Got Thibaut Hurton right behind trying to recover on his race, maybe getting a position from a slow-moving Honda. Yeah, Ollie Hutton not part of that battle, but just getting the place. A few places, actually. Doing quite well. One thing I have to note in the meantime, as we do have some more contact going on through, I'm going to talk about that later. Ben Nesbitt having to go look on the inside as Matt Reid trying to get the overtake done. But Sewald having a look in this as well. It's very wide there for Matt Reid. Sewald optimistic to get at least 1 place. Now fighting with Ben Nesbitt for that 7th place is ahead, but Nesbitt has the inside line. Will have a small advantage. Like I said, the block passes. That's on through. Small little break. Fastest lap has gone over from Ben Mascal to Josh Nesbitt. Josh Nesbitt, first in the standings, doesn't have HEMS at all. Well, 1 lap, but that's about it. He's got nearly nothing.
Did you see the gap? The gap on that fastest lap.
Oh, I mean, it's absolutely nothing, but it's a thousandth of a second. But the difference is that Ben Mascal had access to HEMS the entire time, and he was able to set up his lap properly and, with clean air, do everything there. But Nesbitt, Josh Nesbitt, don't think he's going to use HEMS to just get the fastest lap. He's going to use HEMS to get an overtake done, not just getting the fastest lap. He's been in clean air as well. So that means that he's just gained some time miraculously out of nowhere and still improving in, for example, Sector 1.
Every lap he's been doing since then, he set that 2 laps ago. The lap he just did then was a 1:31.7. So he's only a tenth off his fastest lap, well, compared to the race leader who did a 1:32.2 last time round. So that gap is closing, and it's just under a second as we see. That's Ollie Hutton again trying to get down the inside of Bicorn. Is he? Yeah, that's it. Nice, easy. Is he going to get the switchback? The Honda is looking for it. But he's going to be the outside.
Parked on the apex. My favorite move to see as well is just the car going wide and trying to see, I'll do the up and under, and then the moment you cross your steering wheel to the other side and all the way, you get your car turned in for the line, and you're just looking at the rear diffuser and the spoiler of the car ahead, and you know you're screwed. Like, you can't do anything if the car ahead of you is already fully ahead and passing. And that's a tap to the rear. That's a brake too late for Gorn. Ollie Hutton, beautiful car control to keep that on the track and pointed the right way. Holds on to fifth, but that's not a happy Ollie in the car, currently in fifth place. Probably a little bit stressed here, adrenaline pumping. Happy that he gets to keep P5, but not happy that Bicorn has effectively just rear-ended him into turn one.
Yeah, I think that's just a slight mistake there by Bicorn on the brakes. Honest mistake, and he knew he'd made the mistake because now Hutton is still ahead. He could have taken advantage and overtaken, but he just knew that we'd issue him a penalty post-race. So that's very sportsman behaviour. So well done to him. As we see this battle for the lead now, 6/10 of a second.
It's Josh Nesbitt chasing down Ben Mescal this entire race from P11, and it's now onto the final tenths. 1 lap to go. They're making this absolutely crazy close. The number 2 BMW being ahead of the number 99. And we are looking for maybe a repeat victory for Josh. He's gone second place in race number 1, first in race number 2. Of course, he's had a weekend at Alton Park where he's got all 3 victories to his name. He can't make it 3 here, but he might as well make it 2 and extend his lead in the championship standings. But there's only one man that can deny him all of that, and that is Ben Mescal, who's gone a little bit too wide in turn 1 off the track. And that is, of course, the commentator's curse. Josh Nesbitt going on through. And apologies to Ben Mescal for even mentioning his name. On such an important part of the track. I apologize for the commentator's curse. I will not be speaking for the rest of this broadcast. I think I'm just gonna get everyone off the track.
Yeah. To be fair, I do think Mescal was defending quite early because that gap came down very, very quickly. I've just seen at the corner of my eye, Callum Williams has just been given a 10-second penalty. He's in 4th. Ollie Hutton is 2 seconds behind. So, yeah. Callum Williams
going to be another place. The fun thing is, though, or not so fun, I should say, as Ben Nesbitt takes away a place from Bicorn, with Sewald quite close behind him. Might try and make something of it. Callum Williams with 10 seconds going to drop him all the way to 9th from 4th. And that's in the closing stages of this race. So that's going to be a lot of places lost for Williams with that 10-second time penalty as we're approaching the final 2 corners for Josh Nesbitt. 2.5 seconds away from Ben Mescal. An absolute slammer of a race from 11th to 1st. 2 safety cars this weekend, but he survived all of them. A 2nd place, a 1st place, and then another 1st place for our Josh Nesbitt. He's going to be crossing the line, taking the win. Ollie Hutton is trying to take away one more place that he'll get anyway with the penalties, but I'm not sure if he knows that Callum Williams has that penalty, but he might just want to fight for it, for the glory, as Josh Nesbitt has crossed the line in 1st. Ben Mescal is 2nd. Sebastian Riquelme takes a 3rd place, so he's completed the 1, 2, 3 of this weekend. Callum Williams in 4th is going to be dropping them back all the way down to 9th place, pushing Ollie Hutton to 4th, Ben Nesbitt to 5th, Bicorn to 6th, Sewald to 7th, Matt Ray to 8th, and then, of course, Callum Williams in 9th. Thibaut Hutton gets home in 10th place, Young in 11th, Paris in 12th, and then we have a few a DNF in the end of the grid, and that is going to be Callum Paris not finishing.
Porter and Madhouse didn't finish.
Yeah, there we go. Apologies. The telemetry is already updated for me with Paris being the final car, but Porter having a DNF and Madhouse having did not finish as well for race number 3. So Josh Nesbitt getting victory in race number 2 and race number 3, and Riquelme having the victory in race number 1. So that's lots of points for the top 2 in the standings. Funny thing is, though, that Ollie Hutton has lost points to Nesbitt and Thibaut Hurton, but in this race he's just gained a lot of points on Thibaut and just a few points on Ben. But he's still in the fight. He's lost P3 in the championship. He's gone down to 5th, and now he's claiming his way back up by having an incredible weekend. Actually, these 3 races have gone quite splendidly for him.
Yeah, as I'm going to keep saying throughout these live streams, he just scores points. He just knows what to do. He keeps clean, which is, I'd say, the #1 rule of motorsport. Keep it on the grey stuff. Don't get yourself a penalty. Don't get yourself involved in any silly accidents. Don't get under the steward's nose, and just finish the race. That's the first rule, and that's what he keeps doing. And the fact he's a very consistent and consistent driver as well. He's always going to be up the front. I've never seen him on a protest this season. So yeah, very good, very clean, and as I say, just keep scoring the points. Admittedly, obviously, you got, when you're fighting Nesbitt and Girton, who are equally as quick, they are podium sitters and race winners quite often. So yeah, you will see them up there as well, scoring those heavy points. Yeah, it's just when you score points consistently, you're always going to be at the top. He just needs to find that little bit extra to get himself on the podium, and then he'll be fighting amongst the top guys on the championship standings.
And he's got 2 more events to do that. We just finished up Donington Park. Next week out, we have Silverstone National, and of course the Silver. And Ben Nesbitt and maybe some other drivers, Ben Masquel, being out at the front, but Ollie's just been everywhere on the track and just getting consistently good points. Just gets him down that 5th place in the championship. He's actually, from the looks of it, equal with Thibaut with 103 points.
That's I'm assuming it's Nesbitt ahead, isn't it? Just I'm assuming that's on race results. That's going to be yeah.
We've had the updated after race number 3, and it's even more interesting. We have Josh Nesbitt with 231 points in P1, Riquelme with 200 points in P2, so that's 31 points behind. Then there's a mega gap of 84 points to Ben Nesbitt with 116, and equal on points, Ollie Hutton in 4th. So Ben Nesbitt and Ollie Hutton are now equal on points for 3rd, with Thibaut Gerten only 7 points behind them, and then Ben Masquel up to 6th with only 10 points behind. So it's everything to play for. It's a lot of points being gained on this weekend, from 172 to 231. That's almost 60 points for Josh Nesbitt, and it's absolutely crazy what all the point swaps have been doing. And as we're talking about rounding off this season with Silverstone next week and then Brands Hatch in 2 weeks, we have something else as well to announce. We were going to talk about it in between real quickly, but I think we forgot to do anything of that. So we have this this new series that we're going to be launching at ARS. That's going to be the 2013 Formula Albarth eSeries, the Slipstream Dreams. It's fully Italian, 6 Italian tracks. With, of course, the classics like Monza, Imola, Mugello, Misano as well, Adria, and Vallelunga as well. The same system as we're having with the BTCC, full protest and regulations, a safety car and a race director. Once again as well, 6 events, so these 6 tracks that we have every Saturday from the 15th of November to the 20th of December. All live broadcast. Of course, we have 48 hours of qualifying, and that just means that the drivers will have a 48-hour period to put their qualifying laps in, and after that, the points will be, or the qualifying will be closed, and that will start the grid for the race. Once again, 3 times races for the weekends as well. So yeah, it's quite an interesting one. Very happy to be announcing this one here. I'm looking to racing this, but also wanting to commentate this. So I'm having a little existential crisis here to see if I want to be behind the wheel or in the comms box, because both is just a lot of fun.
I'm sure you can do both. I'm sure you can commentate while you're driving.
It should be fun, right? Just a little POV from me from the. I'll just be driving in the back of the grid anyway, and I can see everything quite clearly. But that's going to be a wrap on Donington Park. Thank you all so much for joining us here, Tom. Thank you for joining me here as well in the comms booth. If you got anything to say, get it out of the way now.
Thank you very much for having us. Thank you to Peter again. Thank you to everyone working behind the scenes. And yeah, thank you. And I'll see you next week, hopefully.
And that being said, yeah, hopefully you're not gonna have any outages again. Hopefully you don't have any knock hill track visits while we have these races. But yeah, tune in next week for Silverstone, and we'll see the championship battle unfold.